My class and I are really excited to have you here. We can't believe that we are getting to hear from Chris Thomas, evening anchor and reporter for ABC10. I did a little digging and saw that Chris is also an Emmy award-winning journalist. Crazy that we're getting to talk to you. Evening anchor at ABC10. You can watch Chris weeknight shows. A lot of us do 5, 6, and 11 p.m., I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. So you could just start with telling us a little bit about where you're from and how you got to where you are in your career.
Well, I just want to first of all say thank you all so very much for having me to chat with the class. This is a great honor for me. I am actually from Birmingham, Alabama. And I started interning, believe it or not, at TV stations at 16 years old.
Wow.
So I was interning in Birmingham at NBC, ABC, and Fox affiliates. I ended up going to Morehouse College in Atlanta, and I was an English major. And as an English major, I had an opportunity to get involved with an internship program at the ABC affiliate in Atlanta, which was WSB. And I mean, you talk about an internship, they have a real internship, I mean, you put together a full newscast, everybody had a role, from the anchor to the reporter, to the producer, to the directors. There was a role for everyone, and it really was ideal for me, especially in getting to where I am today. And from there, it helped me get my first job, really, in Augusta, Georgia, as city government reporter, and 5 o'clock anchor, and we have just been rolling ever since.
Awesome. You know what's cool about what you're describing is I've done a couple of these interviews, and I think we've heard from almost every single person how important internships are. I don't know if you want to emphasize that in any other way. I mean, it sounds like you got the start in an internship. It's as if it kind of launched your career. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that, just on the importance of that?
I will just say, there in Birmingham, the internship was offered through the city. And so what they did was you had to apply, and they said, list 3 jobs that you might be interested in doing. We'll pay you a stipend to come in, and you kind of get a chance to see, you're thinking, oh, this might be something I'm interested in, but then you actually get your foot, start doing it, and you think, oh, okay, maybe not. So it was really ideal in that I was able to do that while I was there at 16 years old, and then understanding the importance of it. Even there in Birmingham, it was because of the internship that I got my first job in TV news, which was associate producer there in Birmingham. And so it just really was kind of the stepping stone to really be able to get my foot in the door. And it was practical, real life, day-to-day experience. And I think that's what's so important about internships, because you actually get a chance, to apply the things that you might learn in the classroom.
Great. Yep. That's awesome. And it's similar to what we've heard from just about every single speaker. I think regardless of the industry they're in, everyone has said either volunteer or find an internship opportunity, just so that you can really dig your heels into what it looks like day to day. It's very different. As much as we love and appreciate learning in the classroom, it's quite different, as you know, actually working. So
can't
it's a great
stress it enough.
Yeah, great. So I thought I would take a little twist. So I'm asking you a little bit different set of questions, but than what I normally ask. So after graduating from college, I would, in my opinion, and I want to hear your opinion too, I think a large part of being successful in your career is learning how to market yourself. Can you just talk about how you did that? How did you stand out from the competition?
I really appreciate the question, and I'm just going to try to keep it real with you all. So I told you I got my first job in Augusta, Georgia, right? And Augusta, Georgia is like a market 150 or something like that at the time. And in TV, you want to kind of work your way up to some of the top markets, of course, in the country. So I think it's important to start in a smaller market, make your mistakes, learn what you don't know, and really kind of hone your craft. And so that's what I was doing. But I'd been there 5 years. And so, somebody right out of college, you think, oh, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to take on the world. You stay anywhere 5 years and you're thinking, okay, what's going on? I need to, I want to keep moving. I want to keep growing. And it was not really until I decided exactly what you're saying. Okay, I have to take matters in my own hands. I have to, it is about branding. It is about how you sell yourself. It is about standing out. And so this would have been in 2012.
Okay.
I decided, okay, I'm going to launch my own website, Chris Thomas Online.
Okay.
And I paid for all the things. I think it was a few $1,000s that you had that I had to pay out of it, you know. And I'll be honest with you, you know, when you started that, I wasn't making it. I was happy to be at 25, making 25,000. What I said, I'm 25, making 25. You know, I was so excited, you know. But you know, I was able to use some of about a few $1,000s, launch my own website, and really kind of showcase the work that I was doing. The other part of that was also turning to some of my mentors and saying, hey, I know you have agents, and agents, you know, sometimes are really kind of the gatekeepers, especially if you want to move into bigger markets. And I said, would you mind sharing some of my work with your agent? And if I could just use their name to say, hey, this such and such agent has seen my work and they say X, Y, and Z about it.
Yeah.
So that I could then use that again as kind of a branding, market myself, if you will. And believe it or not, it was that statement. It was me reaching out to the news director in Richmond, Virginia, saying, hey, Betsy Mueller with Britta Mart Associates says X, Y, and Z. And the response I got back was, if Betsy like you, I like you. When can you come in for an interview?
Okay.
And it was really just that type of, but it took me saying, okay, I can't wait for anybody to do it for me. I have to set up my own website. I have to present myself in a way that's professional. And then I have to get people who can vouch for the work that I do.
Yep. What a great example, and not something we've heard yet, which is we have heard utilize mentors, right? Ensure that you surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, or people who work in a field where you hope to work one day. But what a creative way to leverage that relationship. That's a great example, and something we will all be brainstorming to think about how maybe we can do something similar with the students in class. That's great. Really good example. I'm just taking some notes here.
Sure.
Okay. Let's talk about, if we could for a couple seconds, just could you explain the landscape of marketing a news station? How do you differentiate yourself? It's kind of maybe a new realm for many of us in class. We'd love to hear how you differentiate yourself from other local stations. And if you could share just some marketing kind of best practices in the industry, we'd love to hear that.
I think that's also a very good question. And it's something that is really important. That differentiation that you're talking about, because we do all of these studies and polls to try to gauge interest, to try to gauge, well, what's driving people to watch news. And everything that we found shows that people say they watch news because they want to know the weather and traffic. They want to know about crime and safety. And they want to know pride of place type things, or things to check out. They want you to keep them informed, if you will. The other thing that people say, though, is, I think the local news is too depressing. It's too much crime. It's too much this. It's, you know, and so they're kind of at odds, right? If people say they turn to news for crime and safety information, and yet they say, oh, I turn it off because it's too depressing and it's too, you know, violent, if you will. How then do you take that information and market it to drive viewers? So that's kind of the challenge, right? So what we have done is, and I'll just share some examples with you, if I can. We had a storytellers campaign, is what it was called. And we showcased all of our talent. We said, this is kind of your array of storytellers from all different walks of life. And we are here to tell your story, and to really kind of diving into that kind of pride of place, you know, especially at 11 o'clock. We were going to take a kind of cinematic approach, if you will. We brought in people who had actually worked in the movie industry to really kind of hire in cameras, really hire in production values. And this was the way we were going to market, because people claimed, right, that that violence and crime is a turnoff. That was something we did for 11 o'clock. Something we're doing for our 5 and 7 o'clock shows, a new campaign we're doing now, is a We Stand For You branding campaign. And the whole idea is that we're giving a voice to the voiceless, that we are calling up and getting answers if you've got questions. And of course, with the coronavirus, a lot of those questions are around help for unemployment benefits and getting access to the vaccine. And so we've launched teams, vaccine teams, and people who you can text directly and get results and responses from. And that's an example of something that we've done to try and really engage the viewer.
Yeah, awesome. Can I ask you a little bit about some of the research you mentioned? How are you collecting that research on your own? Do you work with other third-party researchers to be able to identify what people are looking for in
third-party researchers who would then conduct polling throughout the marketplace? It's such an interesting region. We cover 16 counties, you know, from the valley to the foothills, and you know what I mean. And you know, you just have such a disparate region. And for example, today here in the valley, it was a beautiful spring day, sun shining. In the foothills, we had snow. You know, and so it really was. So how do you market to that? You know, just a very different array of people. And I think that's why you really got to drill down to the kind of story impact and how many people does it impact.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's see. Let me go back to our set of questions here. So you talked about how you're kind of competing and setting yourself apart from competition, other local news stations. Maybe you could spend just a quick second talking about how you do that in the online or the social space, or how maybe just general practices. How do news stations connect outside of the actual news broadcast?
Good question. So, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We have the most YouTube subscribers in the market. Really, over-the-top platforms like Roku, Apple TV, and generating content, differently formatted content for each of those platforms. Because Instagram, for example, is very picture driven, right? You know what I mean? And so really thinking about how you can showcase that story across all the different platforms. YouTube, if people actually go on, they're usually willing to sit down and watch a little longer. So more long form pieces, we sometimes gear toward. We'll put a whole show, a full 30-minute show on YouTube. And so, for example, a show that we did, it would have been, I guess, during wildfire season. I remember when they had in San Francisco, the orange sky, that show ended up getting 1 million views in one night.
Whoa.
In one night.
Wow.
And it was just a 5 o'clock show that we put on YouTube. And so what we found was, it's all in how you present it, right? And so what we just presented was wildfire season in Northern California or something like that. You know what I mean? And because that was a story that had been trending all across the world that day, look at San Francisco and orange, you know, and we led with that picture. It was just, it really just got a lot of traction.
Yeah, smart. That's great. A really good example. That's a terrible and also a really good example.
Well, it is. It just goes to show that when you're in news, it is a lot of times it's really tough stuff. But I mean, being able to reach as many people as possible, and being able to take a full show and really kind of provide a platform where people are willing to sit and digest it. And see that type of result is really impressive.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to come to my last question if I could. What advice do you have for students who are soon to be graduating, thinking about getting a job like yours or maybe even different than yours?
I would just say building relationships, planting seeds is what I like to say, because you really be surprised to see how they start to sprout up. Because what's so important is you much rather be doing that stuff before you are just in kind of dire straits and you're like, oh my God, I got to find a job. You know, I need work. You'd much rather be kind of doing that now, setting those relationships, getting those contacts, sharing your work so that those folks can vouch for you. Because especially in the industry now, the last thing you want to be is just a number or just an applicant in a field of hundreds or thousands of applicants. You want someone who can ideally be able to say, hey, check out this person, or hey, I can vouch for this person, because, I do think that success is where opportunity meets preparation.
Yes, great. I think really perfect advice and a great spot for us to end, unless you'd like to add anything else.
No, I'll just give you the link to our marketing thing that we're doing now. We stand for you.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great.
And just some of the examples that we're doing there. But that really is some of the stuff that we're doing. I thank you so much again for having me.
Hey, thank you very much for joining us. We feel like we're getting spoiled, even getting a couple minutes with you. So I will send you a link as soon as we share with students. It's a hidden link, so not many will watch, but everyone in class will be checking it out. And we very much appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.